Now that I've walked with you through my 2-week website design process, I'm guessing your next question is, how do I do design days? That's a really sexy, hot topic these days, the VIP day or design day intensive, website in a day, whatever you want to call it. Basically, is when a client books you for a single day or for part of that day to get a list of things done. How do I manage that? Right? So let's dive into that. Before I do that, though, if we haven't met before, my name is Caitlin. I'm a website designer and Squarespace educator. I've been doing this thing for a few years now. I love the nitty gritty, and I think you do too, based on the response to last week's video. So without further ado, let's dive into my VIP day process. So the first step is obviously to get the lead. To get the lead, you have to have an inquiry form on your website. So what I do is I have a single inquiry form on my website that asks the person which service they are most interested in and lists the price of that service. So they can decide right off the bat what their budget is, which service of mine matches that budget, and whether or not they're going to complete the very simple form. When they do that, they will have the opportunity to look at other work. In the meantime, while they wait for me to reply, I still do reply manually to everybody that I can. But they do have the opportunity to book a discovery call whether I do reply quickly or not. And so about 50% of the people who inquire with me book that call before they actually get a reply from me. And I still try to reply even though they have. So that's kind of my process. Dubsado automates the process of sending the email confirmation that, hey, we did get your form, but they also get redirected when they fill out the initial inquiry form to a page on my website that's secret that gives them all of the information, the same page that my 2-week process inquiry people get. So anybody that fills out that form will be directed to that same page. So they booked the discovery call. I hop on that call with them, and as I discussed in this video, we are here on the call to listen to them talk about their pain points and see if there's a way that we can help with our service or our product that will help them figure out or solve the problem. And then when they say, like, I think I just need some edits or whatever, I can confirm or deny that, right? I can say, yes, I absolutely do think that I can do all of those things in a day if that's what you would like. If I do not believe that, I will not lie to them and say, yes, I think we could, even though I know that we absolutely cannot. If it's a budget thing, I can tell them straight up, I can try. I don't think we're going to get it all done, but we can certainly give it a shot. It's all up to you how you want to handle it. Either we can tackle that in a day, we can't tackle that in a day, or we can try to tackle that in a day. Whatever your feeling is, just be very honest with them. There's no reason why being honest in this particular situation would make somebody offended or like believe that you're not an expert that you say you are or whatever. I think they will appreciate the honesty there. So depending on what we decide on, if they decide that they do want a day, then I say, okay, you have 2 options. You can book the full 8-ish hours. That's $1,500, or a half day, which is $750. They can decide based on their budget. And essentially the budget will allow them to dictate how much of that is really important, right? Because if they can only afford half the day, then they're going to say like, okay, well, let's not worry about this other stuff right now. Let's just focus on this more important thing. So I just leave that up to them. I'd give them the 2 options and let them self-qualify. Once they've decided one way or the other, whether they want to work with me or whether they don't, I get off the call and I send them a follow-up email. If they don't want to work with me, Calendly will actually send them a follow-up email that says, thanks, I enjoyed our chat, and that can be the end of it if that's the end of it. If they did want to work with me, then I will send a follow-up email with the documents for them to book the day. So the document pack is going to look basically the same as my full project packages, which include a proposal, an invoice, and a contract. I do require all 3 documents to be done, completed, and signed and paid before I actually do the day. So at least 7 days out, 5 business days out is going to be your best bet to make sure they have enough time to read through the contract. As for the finances of it, the invoice is either going to be 100% or a 50/50 payment plan. If it's 50/50, 50% is due when they sign the contract, and the other 50% is due before their project date, because you don't want to be in a situation where you've done the work and you've only gotten paid for 50% of it. Most of my VIP people will pay in full. That said, I do offer them the opportunity on the discovery call. When I tell them the price, I can say you can choose, and I base the invoice payment plan on that when I send it out. If the second payment is late, I do not do the work. I will send them an email on the day of the call or the day before if I haven't gotten the payment yet and I know it's late, as a reminder, hey, I can't do anything until I get your final payment. If they don't do anything, don't do the work. Don't do the work. Don't do the work. End of story. It's no different than taking your car somewhere to have service, right? You're not going to pick the car up and take the car before you've made the payment, right? In this case, there's no leverage here because on a VIP day, typically you're not creating something from scratch. You're editing something that already exists, which means they have to give you permission to edit that thing. If you do the day and you haven't gotten that second payment yet, at the end of the day, they can remove your permissions and run away and you will never hear from them again. So make sure you get the full payment in up front and make sure it says in your contract that you have the right to reschedule the appointment or the day or whatever based on the fact that they haven't paid. So some green and red flags. Let's talk about things that do or don't make a good VIP day, right? Listen to your instincts. You know what you're good at. You know what you're not good at. You more or less know what you can do in a certain time frame. So if the client said that they really want to work with you, but they just can't afford your custom services, and so instead they're going to book a VIP day, that could be one of two situations. Either the value is not there and they just don't want to spend the money, or they truly can't afford it and they're willing to do the work as a result. I have done both. I have worked with the people that just couldn't afford my services. I've also worked with the people that just didn't see the value in a full project. The ones that see the value are the ones that are better clients. Listen to your instincts. If you aren't sure you can do it in a day, it's probably not a good fit for a VIP. If it's a full brand design or redesign, it's probably not a good fit for a VIP. If you'll be editing more than 4 to 5 pages if you work pretty fast, you'll have to decide that, but it may not be the best fit for a VIP, especially if you're newer to website design and you work a little slower. If you're going to be creating more than 3 to 5 pages, it might not be a good fit for a VIP. If you're going to be working on 1 to 2 long pages, like a sales page, for example, it might not be a good fit for a VIP. If their website needs a total overhaul, design, SEO, copy, reorganization, those kinds of things, it might not be a good fit for a VIP, with a caveat here that those of us who have been in the industry for a long time and work really fast, we can do that kind of thing. But if you're newer to the game, you might not be that confident yet. You might work a little bit slower, and so it might not be a good fit for a VIP. If they won't be available that day for you to ask questions if you get stuck and you need their feedback before you can move forward, it might not be a good fit for a VIP. There are certain kinds of tasks that you can do in the background without needing their help. There are other kinds of tasks, for example, integrating ConvertKit with Squarespace. If you go to log in and they're not available that day, but you get locked out because of 2-factor authentication and you can't actually get in to do the work, that's a problem. So make sure you know ahead of time whether or not that person will be on call for you that day if you need them. It's not always necessary, but it might be for the task list that they gave you. Okay, so those are the reasons why I don't think it would be good for a VIP day. Here are some of the reasons that I do think it would be good for a VIP day. If you feel confident that you can tackle all of or most of their list, it's probably a good fit for a VIP day. If you don't think they're going to be nitpicky and give you thousands of revisions on just a few hours worth of work, then it's probably going to be a good fit. If they know the boundaries and you've set them clearly and they seem okay with that, they'll probably be a good fit. If the project is more task specific, in other words, they have very specific, very clear, actionable items that they want you to take care of, like swap out their logo for a new design, change the font, change the color palette, reorganize some of the pages, do some SEO basic scans with SEOSpace. Lots of like very specific things that are not subjective. That's a good fit for a VIP. If the project is just a part of a larger whole and they want to tackle it in phases and you're pretty sure you can do that scope in a certain time frame, that's probably a good fit for a VIP. And it might be a little bit easier for them to swallow to bite size or chunk it out like that. If they want to book a few of these as needed and kind of in the same vein, it might also be a good fit. So there are lots of scenarios where VIPs are fantastic, wonderful. I love them. I also really like to fix things, generally speaking, troubleshooting, brainstorming, reorganizing, redesigning, edits, cleaning things up. That's all like just the love of my absolute tiny little heart. So they're always a good fit for me for the most part. That said, I listen to my instincts. At this point, I know what I'm good at and what I can do really quickly and what I can't. And when I'm not sure, I just tell them I'm not sure. And I actually make a list in ClickUp. This is the list of things that I'm pretty sure we can do in this time period. This is the list of things that are taking secondary priority and we will tackle if we have time. So I do tend to segment it out like that in scenarios where I'm not really sure if we can do the whole list in a day. Now that we've talked about the booking process and how you decide which types of these clients or projects you're going to take on as a VIP day, let's talk about the pre-work leading up to the actual day. There's not a lot of it. Don't freak out. So first, after they have filled out the paperwork and I have said, congratulations, you've officially booked the day, you're locked into the spot, I'm really excited, Dubsado sends that email. I also go into the back end of a lot of my systems and set up their portal, basically. It's not a comprehensive portal. It's a very basic page on my website where I just duplicate a template. I edit their name, I edit a couple links, and I embed the list in ClickUp where I will be managing the list of tasks. That's basically the scope of work for the project. That way they can go to the website, / whatever I've named the URL for them specifically. It's private to them. There's a chat widget on that page so they can ask me questions live on the day if they need direct access to me. There's an overview video of how to use the page. There's a public view of the ClickUp list so they can see things as I check off, but they don't need to be in ClickUp. They do not have edit permissions. They can see what's going on, but they don't have to learn how to use it with me. They can go to that page of my website and access everything that they need for the day itself. And then if there's any homework that I need them to do leading up to the project day, I will send them access to that. Some sort of checklist form in Dubsado where they can literally check it off as they complete the stuff. I make sure to specify that the homework that I send them is due by a very specific date and time, and also remind them that if it's not done when I need it done, we will reschedule the project. VIP days are quick. They move fast. They're designed to be sort of rush jobs, which is why they're expensive. So if the client is reaching out to you to rush through getting this list of tasks done, they also have to be in it to win it. They cannot dick around and forget to do their homework on time because otherwise I won't have anything to do if I was relying on whatever I asked them to submit. So make sure when you give them the homework that the deadline for that is very clear and the consequence of them not doing it by that deadline. It's not enough just to say it's due by this date. You have to give them the consequence of why what will happen if it's not done by that time frame. We are leading the client through this process. They don't know how it works. They don't know where we spend our time. They don't know what our systems are. They don't know what else we are supposed to be doing. They don't know what booking this time in our calendar is taking away from other things that are on our to-do list. Everything that you say yes to is a no to something else, and they don't know that. They don't know what the no's are. So if you communicate with them and you lead them through the project like a leader, they will behave better for you because they have the correct expectations and they don't have to guess what those expectations are, right? You don't want them wondering. That's just not a great experience. The next stage is the VIP day itself. And there's one very important thing that you need to remember at the start of this day, before you've done anything else, is to co-sign the service agreement with them on the day that you are doing the work. When the service provider signs, that's the date that the contract goes into effect. So if I want the contract to cover the day in question that the client has booked, I have to sign it on the day that they booked. So I actually have a workflow in Dubsado that will send me an email reminder that says, literally, sign the client contract. It pops up in my email at the start of the day so that I do not forget, because otherwise I will. I've got too many things going on for me to remember that. If you are afraid that you're going to forget, also put it in your calendar. Put it in your calendar for like a 6 a.m. reminder with push notification to all of your devices. Sign the damn contract. Do not forget that. After that, send them an email first to let them know you're starting to work on it. It's just kind of a nice thing to do so that they don't have to wonder if you are or not. So send them an email and say, hi, I'm getting started. I'm here if you need anything. I'm going to dive in. Doesn't have to be a long email. If the project needs it, sometimes I will have a kickoff call or an onboarding call or whatever you want to call it, specifically for the tasks that will be worked on that day, especially if the two of you are going to be working in tandem on something, or two different areas of the same website, or two different parts of a branding project, whatever it is. Might want to have a call with them to jumpstart the project so you can get on the same page and double check that yes, we are both working on these two separate sets of tasks. I don't always need to do that. In fact, lately I haven't. But in the early days when I was a little unsure of what we would be doing, I did do them a lot just to get back on the same page before we got started and jumped in. So I have ClickUp open. I have whatever software I'm using open, whether that's Squarespace or Illustrator or whatever it is. And then I have my ClickUp list so that I can check tasks off as I complete them, because that will be reflected, remember, in the embedded view of that checklist that I'm giving them in their portal page. So they can see live when I check something off, and they can see what the status is of everything in the scope of work for that project. So they never have to guess what I'm working on if they are going to that page. That's the whole point. When that list is complete, or at the end of that day, I stop. Period. End of story. They have not booked more time than I gave them, right? Do not give them more time than they booked in your calendar just because you didn't finish. There are some caveats to that. For example, if the person booked a VIP day that had a very specific list of Squarespace edits and Squarespace gave you fits that day and then it went down, or they had an outage or something and you literally could not do it, that's a totally different story. But if it was because you were completing a long list of tasks that you really weren't sure you could get done, and you in fact could not get all of it done, stop working. You told them at the beginning that you weren't positive you could get all the way through that task list, so they are already expecting that that's a possibility. It's okay for you to not work 20 hours to get that done. They did not pay for 20 hours. They paid for a fast rush job of 8-ish hours. So you decide where the boundary is there, but make sure you actually hold it. At the end of that day, you can decide, do you want to record a video to send them? That's what I typically do. I will record a video overview of everything that I've done that day so they can see the actual progress. A lot of the stuff that we do is nitpicky, like behind the scenes kind of stuff that they might not necessarily notice that we did. So it's a really good idea to go through it bit by bit with them, even if it's a long video. That way they have it to download later, to reference later, to whatever. But you don't have to record it at the end of that day. For example, if you started at like 10 o'clock in the morning and you ended at 7 o'clock at night and you don't want to do the video at that point and you want to walk away, do the video the next morning, right? When you are done for the day, just send them an email and say, I'm done. I will record you an overview video in the morning, but I'm done for the day. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Just make sure you're clear about everything so that they don't have to guess what you're doing with your time. So when I record the Loom video, I will literally record my screen. I'll put myself in the bottom corner so they can see my face. Loom will now, if you have the AI upgrade, it will actually chapterize the video for you, which is fantastic. So it will automatically create chapters in the video based on every time you change topics, which is wonderful. If you have Loom, I encourage you to take advantage of that AI add-on because it makes things easier for the client so they can skip around if they need to when they come back for a replay. So after the video is recorded, I send them an email with the Loom link, or you can send it directly from Loom if you prefer. That's the official end of the VIP day, whether you do it at the end of that day or the following morning. After the project is over, now it's time to support them. You do not have to offer this. I like to just because I feel like it makes them feel more confident about doing it. That it's not just like, hey, I'll go in, mess with a bunch of your shit, and leave you hanging to deal with whatever I did, right? That's just not, it doesn't sit right with me. So I like to offer 1 week or 5 business days of support following their VIP day. And in that time, I don't do more work, but I am happy to answer questions. So the way that the support period works for VIP days is very similar to the same thing that I do with the 2-week website project or custom projects. Dubsado initiates the process by sending them an initial email that says, hey, this is the start of your support period. It will end on this date. This is the kind of thing that we can handle on your support period, and you can put what you allow in it. And it also sends them a direct link to the form on my website where they can fill out a support ticket form. So if they have an actual problem, that they know exactly where to go to tell me that they have the problem. The second part of their support period is the actual delivery of deliverables. And you're like, okay, well, what deliverables are part of a VIP day? That's a good question. The overview video for Loom or on Loom that I send them at the end of the day. The call replay potentially of the offboarding call if they've also booked that. Any edited or created files. So if I created a background graphic for a page in Canva, I'll send them the template link for that thing in Canva, in addition to maybe the exported JPEG of it. Maybe I edited some photos, resized them so that they are smaller files so the website page will load more quickly, and I'll send them the resized files. Maybe it's a resource link. Maybe I told them about a service that they were looking for a solution to some sort of problem they had. Maybe they were looking for a membership and they thought they could do that with members areas in Squarespace. And I said, no, go check out Mighty Networks or Circle for that. And so I can put the link to that actually in the playbook. So they have the link at the ready. So at this point, I put all of the deliverables into a playbook, and then I send them the public link to that file folder where they can download or access all of those things. In Playbook specifically, you can actually set the assets in the Playbook folder to expire when you want. You can also assign a license that can expire. So a user license for the thing that they download. It's very, very cool, and it does a lot of things that other services, other storage services like Dropbox and Google Drive do not do, right? Because it's done with creators in mind specifically. So make sure you go check that out. It's been an incredible add to my repertoire, the apps that I like using for my clients lately. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. I'll be honest. When I first created the account, I had no idea what to do with the thing. But after poking around in there and realizing the structure and how it was nested and everything, I'm getting really attached to it. It's very easy to use. They do not have an app yet, so it's all web-based, but that's not a deal breaker for me. Side note, if you feel like this is interesting and you want to learn how to use Playbook, they are not a sponsor, and again, I'm not an affiliate, but I'm happy to do a video on that. If you'd like to learn how to use it, leave a comment below and tell me that you're interested, and I'll add that to my future video list. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you haven't yet watched the video that I published right before this one, go check that out for a overview or insider peek at how I run my 2-week web design process for custom Squarespace websites. It will change your life. If you are like me and you hate long drawn out projects and you don't want to have multiple projects going on at the same time over the course of months, this is going to be a better system for you. In the meantime, if you're not sure how to price your services or handle discovery calls, make sure you check out these videos next so you can dive into those in the meantime. And that's all I have for this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye!